Salvete, Magistra here. I am just going to really quickly go through the translation for the story Ex Urbe on page 2. Hopefully it'll clear up any questions that you have about the story, and I'm really happy to answer anything further, so don't hesitate to email me or send me a remind if something that I went over was unclear. For the sake of time and length of the video, I'm not going to read the Latin because you already had that provided for you. So just try to follow along as I go through. So Manius Achilles Glabrio says hello to his friend Lupus. How are you, my Lupus, in your country house? Have you now recovered from that illness of yours? Isto can mean like that illness, that one, or like that illness of yours. How is Helvidius doing, your son? Whenever I think about you and your house, I envy you greatly. Notice that in Wideo takes a dative there. For in the city there is no leisure, no quiet, or no rest. Indeed, and that's the word quidem that you see right here. Indeed, by many negotiations or with many negotiations, every day I am occupied. At the first hour, I am greeted, notice the passive verb here, by my clients. From there to the basilica to give orations, like to give speeches. This expression in Latin uses the verb to have, but in English we prefer to say to give. Or to the Senate House to hear orations, I hurry. Now, I'm going to come back and talk about these expressions another time, habitum and auditum, because they're not verb forms you've seen before. There's something that's called the supine, and like I said, we'll learn about that pretty soon. Sometimes I visit friends, or I am visited by them. Through the whole day, public or private duties I do. That's that whole phrase right here. So duties, private or public, I do. But you, meanwhile, on the bank of the river, or in the shade of the tree, you lie, and that's yakes, like yakeo, yakere, to lie down, perhaps, otiosis, at leisure, or chillin'. And while I am annoyed, that's vexor, present passive, while I am annoyed or bothered by the noise of the city, you are delighted, again, notice the present passive, by the song of the song of the verbs. That's my dream. No, by the song of the birds. But enough complaining. The Emperor Domitian yesterday, and notice this verb here, agit. It's from ago agere agi actus. It's the verb to do, to drive, to lead. So you could say that he led a triumphal parade, he did a triumph, any of those are fine, about the Germans. The procession proceeded or advanced through the whole city. And notice here we have the word quam. It refers back to the procession. So the procession which some, marvelous to say, and this phrase mirabile dictu, we're going to come back to talk about. It's another example of what's called the supine. You can read about it in this chapter in advance, or you can wait for my cool notes on them. Supine is the word. So, marvelous to say, they were calling it a very splendid spectacle. Our emperor, they say, the true father of the country, has overpowered barbarian tribes now. The Germans are led, or are being led, through the streets of the city now in a triumphal procession. So triumphus is like a triumphal procession. It's that sort of a like ticker tape parade of conquering. Others, however, were mocking the ridiculous spectacle. Those who are being led through the streets, they were whispering, they are not at all Germans, but slaves, having been summoned from the province of Spain and having been dressed in German clothing. So this is the splendid emperor who, with a few little men having been conquered, they think him, let me go back again. So this is the splendid emperor who, with a few little men having been conquered, thinks himself, notice that putat se, thinks himself worthy of a triumph. And dignum takes the ablative there, hence the weird form. All right, well, everybody. Have a good one.